The quadruple uh-oh. A couple of days later at all city rehearsal, Mr. Watras made a startling announcement to the group. The school district had just put a new policy in place. Evidently, every high school student would now have to perform community service hours every semester in order to graduate, effective immediately. Everyone around me started mumbling and grumbling right away, but I didn't see what the big deal was. I asked Brian, well, Pez, here's the problem. A lot of us are already busy every day after school and Saturdays with this, our regular school bands, sports, jobs, relationships, and just generally trying to have a life and get decent grades. So, yeah. So some of us may have to drop off the all city in order to do the service hours. That's the big deal. Oh. After an hour into the rehearsal, I noticed that Annette and Renee were in their usual spots, watching the proceedings. But they weren't just watching. They were whispering back and forth at top speed. Now, I don't know much about the inner workings of girl folk, but I did realize that anything that could bring these two together had to have some pretty powerful voodoo on it. By the time we were done playing, Annette and Renee were writing frantically, and not just notes. They were writing paragraphs, lists, charts, and graphs. Annette had a calculator. Renee was wielding, I swear to God, a compass or possibly a protractor. I could never remember which one is which. It was like they were planning a space mission or something. The band stopped, and Annette strode over to the podium. She grabbed Mr. Watrous' conducting baton and tapped it on the music stand just like he always does. Everyone looked over, and Annette started talking. Now, many of you are going to have trouble meeting the service requirements and staying in Old City. Come on, raise your hands. About 3/4 of the band did. Wouldn't it be great if you could somehow get service credit for being in All City? People were looking interested now. Because I think that Renee over there, Renee waved, and I have a way. Listen, guys, I'm sure you all know there are families in this town who have dire financial situations. Families that are trying their hardest but just can't make ends meet. Families that could use a helping hand. Am I right? Well, sure, she was right. But on the other hand, she was also starting to sound like a street corner preacher. I myself felt vaguely like jumping up and shouting, Amen! But I figured it would be wise to figure out what I would be amening about first. Gentlemen of the All City Jazz Band, we have an opportunity here to reach out that helping hand to one of our own. I know you are all aware of the serious health problems that Stephen Elper's brother has had this year. Oh God. But what you probably don't know is that little Jeffrey's disease, leukemia, is tremendously expensive. The Alpert family is struggling to pay their bills. Stephen's mother has had to take a leave of absence from her job to take care of Jeffrey. So just when their need is greatest, half their cash flow is gone. Annette stopped for a moment, and Biff spoke out in silence. Yeah, we all know about the peasant's brother. What does it have to do with getting the band out of the service requirement? It doesn't have to do with getting you out of the requirement. It has to do with getting the requirement into the band. Huh? We can make our concert a benefit for Stephen's family. Renee, can you tell these guys about the numbers? Hi guys, we did the math here, and this really could really work. If we charge $15 a ticket and there is 1,000 seats in the auditorium, that's 15,000 right there. Then you have bake sale set up in the lobby. Brian, don't your parents own a baker? Yeah. A bakery? Yeah. Maybe they could donate the stuff or sell it to us at cost. Anyway, I bet we could easily sell 500 pastries or whatever at $1 each, and that brings us to $15.5. Then there's a program we could probably get a printer to donate or work at cost too. Then we sell ad space. What's the going rate for a yearbook pages? 35 a page. We got 15 full page ads. Then that would be where is it? Oh yeah, that would be another $5,250 for a total of $2,750. What do you think, guys? Yeah, woohoo, save the peasant family. Personally, I thought my parents were either going to kiss the ground or wring my neck, and I had no idea which. Before everyone left, Annette and Renee got Mr. Watras to agree to the plan, formed committees, designed some flyers and ad forms, and even sold one ad. The second Trabonus said his parents would buy half page for their jewelry store. Truly astonishing. It was like seeing Bill Gates at age 13 times two, and half of him was wearing a cheerleader uniform. Yes, I know that's a weird image. On the way home, I thanked Annette for the idea. She was flying high. I think because now she really was a big part of the concert again. I wasn't sure how I felt. On one hand, I knew the money would be a big plus for my family, and it would be great for Jeffrey to have a big special night. On the other hand, I was concerned that my parents might go nuts and trash the whole idea. Plus, and I know I'm shallow, I wanted the concert to be my big night. One thing was for sure. One way or another, if the rents didn't veto the whole entire shebang, it was going to be important. As I got out of the van, the driver said, "Listen, kid, I couldn't help overhear about your brother. That's a tough break. I'm really sorry." Now, there was a lady who had driven the two of us to and from rehearsals twice a week for over a week, and this was the first time she even talked at all. It was a relief to know she had the power of speech, but I was struck again by the power of cancer to get attention. For better or for worse, being involved with cancer patients, you and everyone put you on everyone else's radar. Now, I had the challenge of floating this proposal to the rents, and I had to do it the right way because my mom and Jeffrey were leaving for Philly in the morning. At dinner, even while I was joking around with Jeffrey, fielding questions from my mom about schoolwork and wondering how my dad could have such a blank facial expression without actually being in a coma, I was nervously waiting for the opportunity to bring the whole thing up. Finally, I seized the day, or carpe the diem, if you want some Miss Palma lingo. My dad mentioned that he had got somebody $7,000 tax return, and I pounced. Wow, Dad, $7,000 sounds like a lot of money, huh? Why, yes, Stephen, it is. I know a family that could get nearly 3 times that by April 15th. Who? Us. Well, son, our return won't be that big this year. We are going to get some money back because your mother stopped working and I had to claim and I hadn't claimed the single earner head of household exemption. Also, the interest on our stock dividends will be less than I had projected. It's rather interesting. I had based our estimated taxes on a historical rate of return of approximately 10% annual yield. However, the stock market slowed down. We actually had a negative rate of Dad, stop. The accountant talked for a minute. You're talking to a 13-year-old who got a 37 on his math final, remember? Anyway, that's not what I meant. I'm talking about an idea that some people had. See, the All-City Band needed a human service project, and a couple of students came up with an amazing plan for one. Since we have this performance coming up, they thought, why not make it a benefit concert? A benefit concert for whom? For us. Jeffrey, please go into the room and play. Uh-oh. But Daddy, I'm still eating my burrito. You get plenty of food. Go. Double. Uh-oh. Well, I had found a topic that put an expression on my father's face. It might have been nice if the expression weren't teeth-gritting grimace of a sumo wrestler about to charge, but hey, progress is progress, I suppose. We argued back and forth about this for a while. Initially, my mom was on my dad's side, but as the discussion, it's amazing my parents call everything a discussion. If it were standing across the street, firing a bazooka at my mother while my father was launching mortars back at me and Jeffrey was charging down the driveway with a grenade in his teeth, my parents would say we should stop having this public discussion. Anyway, discussion wore on. My mother got quieter and quieter. Eventually, before my father and I degenerated into oh yeah level, she stopped us. I think I'm going to be ill. What do you mean, ill, honey? Stephen and I don't mean to upset you. We're just having a discussion. Sure. And Mount Everest is still a hill. Not, no, I mean ill, as in get me a bucket. Triple. Uh-oh. Stephen, don't just sit there. Get her what can I get you? Ugh, men. With that, she stumbled out of the dining room when she turned on a super loud bathroom fan and knew exactly what was going on. And that left a fairly urgent problem. Jeffrey figured it out fastest. He appeared in the doorway. Daddy, Stephen, if mommy is sick, who's going to take me to the hospital tomorrow? Quadruple. Uh-oh. Who was going to take him?